Every big win starts long before game day. On any given Monday, we go where cameras don't. Behind the contracts, the calls, and the chaos. We'll road trip with scouts, visit iconic campuses, step inside replay booths, and walk up to the luxury suites. Real organizations, real stories, real decisions. Lace up your cleats, buckle your chin strap. Here comes our GM, Matthew Miley.
Today on Any Given Monday, my guest is a boxing legend, former WBA lightweight world champion Ray Boom Boom Mancini. From Youngstown to Las Vegas, from the ring to Hollywood, from Hollywood to the Hall of Fame, he's lived a great life full of family, sport, and storytelling. So tell me, Mr. Mancini, your father Lenny was a professional fighter, and was it always your goal as a child to follow in his footsteps and be a fighter? And was there a lot of added pressure with that?
Well, it's funny you asked that. First of all, thank you for the introduction. That was a great
Thank
introduction.
you.
So I really appreciate that. And please, and Matthew, call me Ray. I appreciate it. Call me Ray. We're friends now. We're friends. Matthew, people who said, you're a fighter because of your father. And I say yes and no. Yes, because he's everything I wanted to be as a man, as a husband, as a father, as a fighter. He's everything I wanted to be. But no, he's the one who tried to talk me out of it in the worst way. He told me, Raymond, I had academics as well as athletic scholarships to go to college, had a professional baseball offer. And he said, Raymond, I had to fight with depression. I had to eat. He said, so, you have so many other opportunities. But I said, Dad, no, I want to fight. I want to be a fighter and win that title for you. So what can he say? So that's the only thing I've wanted to be. And so, like I said, he tried to talk me out of it in the worst way. But I believe in fate as far as life and love, and that's fate. I believe it. And I'm a firm believer fighters are born, they're not made. I think you're born with the fighting spirit or you're not. The people, you go to the gym, you get trained, but either you have that fighting spirit or you don't. It's just meaning that's all I ever wanted to be. That doesn't make me better or different. It's just it's a certain mindset. I think you're born with that. Just think, I always tell boxing comes to you. You don't go to it. It calls you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that.
That's what I think. But that's why I became a fighter. I wanted to be him.
Yeah, thank you for that. So how much of a financial gamble was that for you or for your family, for you to go down the route of a professional fighter instead of something more traditional path?
First of all, I didn't come from much money. My father was a working guy. I worked 40-something years in this fabricating plant. The general fireproofing here, what they made steel office furniture. It wasn't a steel factory. It was what they made steel office furniture. It was a fabricating plant. And I remember the years my father was laid off for years. In between. So, he worked for 40 years, but he might have been laid off almost 10 years, It was never a financial thing, Matthew, because you don't become a fighter for money, because the statistics prove 9 out of 10 fighters make any type of money at all, without having to need a second job to survive. And 10% of that 10%, meaning 1% overall, was able to sustain a living without having a second job, without some other source of income. So you're not doing it for financial reasons. And I never thought about the money. And it was never about that. And that's the thing. When people who fight for the money, like I used to meet guys and they'd say, boom, boom, my son wants to be a fighter. And the first question I'll say to them, I say, why? And if I hear any other answer but one, meaning to be a world champion. That's it. If it ain't that, don't do it. What I get a lot is to make money. I said, no kid, make money, get a job. You'll make money and get a job. And I said that. I tell them what I told you. 9 out of 10 fighters, 10% of the fighters make any type of money. 10% of 10% can sustain a living. Then they'll say, to meet girls. I said, no kidding. How about get a personality? How about that? Try that. And then there's, to be famous. I said, famous? Let me tell you, fame lasts about 10 minutes, if that. So if it ain't to be a world champion, you don't do it.
Yeah, yeah.
You find another source of living. You know, um, it's like people always say to me, "Where's the next heavyweight champ, American? Where's the next heavyweight champion from America?" I said, "He's playing in the NBA. He's playing in the NFL." I look at it, I go, if you're a big, strong guy who's mobile and agile and athletic, why wouldn't you go to the NBA or NFL, an opportunity, chance to make guaranteed money? Why would you try? Why would you be a fighter? See, boxing's like I said, it calls you. It's a calling. You feel deep in your gut. That you want to be. It's all you ever want to be.
Mm,
So
yeah. Thank you again for that. So let's go starting with your career now. What was it like as a young fighter trying to make your name and rise through the ranks? And who made most of the calls? Was it you? Was there like managers, gyms?
well, I, when you're a fighter, you gotta have a good trainer, and you gotta have a good manager. So it was that three team, just me, my trainer, my manager, and my manager makes the decision on the fights. His job is to get me the best fights for the most money and the least amount of risk.
Hmm.
That's the manager's job. Trainer's job is to train me, prepare me physically, mentally, emotionally, And then my job as a fighter is to pay the dues, to get up and do the road work, go to the gym and do the grind, and do the
Hmm.
mental exercises, say my prayers, forget, things like that. Eat proper, get the proper rest, not being out, hanging out on the streets. So that's why it's a team effort. There's no doubt. And but in boxing, let those who do. Meaning, you're the trainer. I don't do what you do. I'm the fighter. Your job is to train me, but my job is to fight, the best to my ability. But your job is to help train me, get me prepared,
Hmm.
physically. But mentally is something I have to prepare. I have to prepare myself physically, mentally. Physically, I do the road work, I do the bag work, I spar. But mentally, it's all me. I got to train. So as much as you train physically, you got to train mentally and spiritually as well. And so, I do.
Yeah.
So it's a rounded effort. You got to do all aspects to be prepared for a fight.
Hmm. What do you think was your I made it moment and that I've finally gotten where I wanted to get for my whole life?
Well, I think, when I say I made it moment, I think there was a couple, but the first one was my first. I mean, my first one, I think, was my first time I fought Madison Square, well, the Felt Forum. Madison Square Garden is probably the most famous boxing venue in the world.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
um, downtown, New York City. That's the Mecca. So when I fought there, but see, downstairs they have the Felt Forum. So once you're the main event there and you do well enough, later on you can go to the main, to upstairs to the main house. So I fought there in March of 1981. I won by a second round knockout, and I got a lot of acclaim. I got a lot of buzz. I fought a month later, well, less than 3 weeks actually. About 3 weeks later, I fought my first fight on ESPN. I was a semifinal uh, to a fight up in Chicago, and I won, this unanimous decision. But it was a good fight, hard fight. I showed a lot. That fight got me my first network, CBS fight, May 16th. That that was my breakout moment. So there are small ones, the one when I fought at Felt Forum in New York, you
Mm.
win, so I get you a lot of buzz. The one on ESPN got me even bigger buzz. But then that got me the network fight, and that was my breakout moment, fighting national television when I won the North American Boxing Federation title.
How
Yeah,
how does that feel knowing that, millions of people across the country are watching you and
well,
people
that's
looking up at
yeah,
you and what's that feeling like?
that's the greatest feeling in the world. But you don't know that until after the fact.
Hmm.
What I mean? You don't know at the time. I mean, look, perfect example. You just said about the power of television, right? Who knows? I didn't know the power of television. When I won the title, when I finally won the title, I was over in Italy. Bob Arum, my promoter, and Rodolfo Sabatini, the Italian promoter, brought me over for a goodwill tour. I got off the boat, I got off the plane, off the boat, yeah. I got off the plane in Milan, Italy, and we were walking through the airport, and I heard people, boom, boom, Mancini, boom, boom, Mancini, oh, boom. And I was like, wow. And so when they were escorting me to the baggage claim, people recognized, oh, boom, Mancini, they want to take pictures, sign autograph. And it blew my mind. I said to my parents, because I brought my mom and dad with me, I said, man, this world title, I mean, it really means something. You know, it really means something
Mhm.
because you don't understand the power of television. You don't understand the magnitude that I'm fighting in Las Vegas. I'm fighting um, Warren, Ohio, or where, and it's all showcased all over the world. It's kind of mind
Yeah.
blowing if you think about it.
It's crazy. Yeah, if you really think
Yeah.
about it. Who was the first person that you talked to after that title fight?
Oh, my parents would jump in the ring, their first one. I mean, afterwards, my trainer would jump, my corner would jump in each other's arm. We're crying, we're celebrating. My parents come in, we're crying. Um, I don't think there's any words spoken while you're in the ring. That
Mhm.
we did it, whatever, things like that. Until you go back in the dressing room and then you celebrate some more, and parents come in, and then have those moments, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's great. That's
yeah,
great.
it's something.
So when we're going back to fighting in general, I personally play football and I'm a linebacker, so I know I'm probably gonna
Well,
get some bumps and scrapes and
you
bruises
bang people, yeah.
here and there.
Well,
But in boxing, you're like going at it.
Well, there's no headgear. There's no, just got to move your head. Try to
Yeah.
make a guy miss once in a while. Try to make a miss. It's like a guy running back trying to juke you.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so,
how do you
but
stay like mentally locked in for
well, you
that,
got to prepare for it. Same thing. When you're going into the game, you're going to hit. You're going to get your bell rung. You're going
Yeah.
to be hurt
Oh yeah.
physically somewhere. Your body's going to hurt. Not that
Mhm.
you get hurt, but your body's going to hurt. It's the same thing. The mindset going into the fight. I know I'm going to. My style didn't allow me to have an easy fight. So I knew I was going into war every time. See, it became a running joke that wasn't a joke. It was written about many times. Where the last thing I did before I left the dress room, they said, you get the countdown for the television.
Mm.
5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds, whatever. I go in and I go in the drip, wherever the mirror was.
Yeah.
I look in the mirror. People go, why do you do that? I said, because I want to know what I look like because I know I'm not going to look the same coming back. So you prepare yourself knowing that you're going into war and I'm
Mhm.
not going to be the same physically.
Yeah.
So it's just a mindset. Everything's a mindset. You know what I'm saying? You prepare your mind, go into war. I know I'm going to be my belt. I'm going to be hurt at times. I might be bleeding, cut bleeding. I might be swallowing my own blood. Whatever it is, I'm still going to keep moving forward to get that victory.
Yeah. Whatever it takes to win. Whatever it
That's
takes
right.
to win. All right. So now, past your boxing career, you've been retired for a few decades now. Um, but up until that point, when you retired, boxing was your whole world, your whole
Sure.
life, everything.
Sure.
So
It has to be.
what was it
Has to be.
like? Yeah. What was it like retiring? Was it hard? Did you embrace it, or what was your feeling?
Yes, yeah, yes and no. And this is what I mean. I was 24. Matt, that one was I only fought 5.5 years, which is not a long time. But my style of fighting doesn't allow for longevity
Yeah.
when you're my style. I lost the love for it. Look, I had a fight. I'm sure you've been very kind and you didn't go to it. I had a fight
Mhm.
with a Korean fight. My second title defense, I fought a Korean fighter named Dooku Kim. It was a war, absolute war. Showed on national television Saturday afternoon, prime time. And I knocked him out in the 14th round. He succumbed 4 days later and passed away.
Mhm.
And because at that time they say I was the number one attraction in boxing on television. So everything that was written about me being but good about being everything good about I was everything good about boxing. I became the poster boy for everything that was bad about boxing, and that hurt. And I didn't, I get 21 when I won the title at 21. That's my second title defense. A couple of months later, it's hard. So all over network television, the late night shows are talking about it on the news constantly. getting calls from all over the world. How do you feel? And I was dying inside because I had an opponent who's literally dying in the hospital, but I'm dying inside because what I do, what how to, you know, you can't say it wasn't my fault because it wasn't my fault. I didn't. I talked to my priest, Father O'Neill, who was a very close friend of mine, came to all my fights. He was a former teacher of mine, but one of my dearest friends, and I talked to him a lot, and that wasn't my intention. He talked me through it. That right, you can't blame yourself, but you can't alienate yourself, remove yourself from it either, because I was the one in there, right?
Yeah.
So. Um, so when he passed away 4 days after the fight, you know, my heart it just broke. It just broke, and I didn't know. And the thing that bothered me the most, other than my opponent, that I looked at my hands and said, I can't believe that my hands did that. How could my hands do that? And it was such a rough, tough fight, give and take. Meaning, why him and not me? It could have been me. But who's to say it won't be me next time? Because my style of fighting ain't going to change.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to fight any different. So I think at that point I was 21, but I already lost the love for it. So I had just won the title, and I prayed a lot about it, and Father Neil helped me, and I just thought the opportunity to get my financial security was there. I had the opportunity to get my financial security. I mean, I finally won the title, and to give it up on just to give it up without defending it didn't seem right. And like I said, I prayed about it. Father Neil helped guide me through it, and I decided to continue to go on. But once I knew I had my financial security, that's when I shut it down. I said so. Yeah. That was 85 was my last fight. Up to that point, February of 85, and I retired in I think August. Retired. Yeah.
So, how have you, if you have at all, been able to stay connected to the boxing world since your retirement?
Well, no, of course I do commentary. I've been doing commentary since early 1983. I've been doing even when I was active. I was fighting. I was doing commentary for Don King shows or networks. Some of the networks, and like at the time, cable, HBO and Showtime. I was doing commentary. And then when I retired, I was getting offered a lot of commentary jobs, so I was stay close that way, and that's how I stay close still now. I work with an English promoter. I'm actually going there next week. I'm actually going there next Wednesday, and I'll be working with him. I've been working with him for about 5 years, and he's bringing me over for another show, and I think he's got the best promotional company going, certainly in England, certainly in the UK. And when and hopefully you'll make a big splash soon, and I'll be part of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm close enough, but far enough. I'm not physically involved, but I'm still involved on the peripheral. You know what I mean? And that's the way I like it. I'm still a fan. I'm a fight fan.
Mm-hmm. What lessons did boxing teach you that you can apply to your now business and family life?
Well, the Matthews, you've heard it's always the cliches.
Yeah.
When you got to learn how to get back up when you're being knocked down.
Mm-hmm.
When you get knocked on your butt, you got to pick it up and keep moving forward. When you're cut and bleeding, suck it up, keep moving forward. All the cliches that you got to learn how to take it on the chin. You know how to bounce back. But that's true. That's all true. So you use those because look, we find out in business world, not a whole lot different than in private life. It kicks your butt sometimes. Life kicks your ass sometimes. So whether it's personal or business, life's gonna kick your ass, and you got to learn how to ride with stick it out. You got to learn to take the punches, roll with the punches, and pick yourself back up and keep moving forward.
Yep.
And that's true. So boxing is on a parallel with life. Again, all the cliches I've said, I just told you, right? People who say them all the time. They say it about life, and it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
So yeah, it prepared me a lot. Boxing game prepared me a lot for life.
Mm-hmm.
Life after fighting, probably life before fighting, but it prepared me. That the boxing game has prepared me for life, and I don't get caught up. I don't get worried about things. I don't things I can't control.
Mhm.
I rely on my faith in Christ. I say my prayers, and I don't worry about financial things. I don't get business things. I think the Lord has a plan. As long as I do my part, it'll play out the way it's supposed to play out.
Yeah. So earlier you said you got into acting. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, when I went to LA in 1985, after I retired, uh, I was on first couple of years. I was having fun. I've been represented by the William Morris Agency, which is one of the top three, and I've been represented by them for commercial endorsements, commentary, things like that. But I was also being offered to do, even when I was fighting, I was being offered to be able to do cameos in different TV shows or
Mhm.
movies. But I was never able to take advantage of it because I was always fighting. I was always in training camp. I was fighting a lot, so I was in training camp all the time. So when I retired, I decided I wanted to give it a try. And my agent at the time said, "You got to move out of here. You got to be where the action is." Okay,
Mhm.
California, why not? So I moved to California in in June of 1985, and and then you go up for auditions and stuff, and get a couple, and then I'm like I said, it's like a Hall of Fame baseball player.
Mhm.
3 out of 10 is a Hall of Fame career in baseball, right?
Yeah.
Well, that was me, like 3 out of 10 auditions I'd get, right? So I was missing more than I was making, getting, but the ones I was getting, I was having a good time and I was learning. But I wasn't taking it serious like I should. I was having fun out there. I was 2 years being out there. I was meeting so many people and having a good time. Finally, I said, I want to do this seriously. This is my new life. I got to do this serious. I got to take it serious. So I asked a good friend of mine, Mickey Rourke, who's one of the top actors in the world, and he said to me, he said, "Raymond, you got to train for acting like you train for fighting." I said, "Oh man, I said, yeah, you're right."
Mhm.
I said, "Can you help me find an acting coach?" So he helped me find an acting coach, one of the best there was, and I studied with him for several years, and studied privately with them, and then go to classes with, and finally he said, "Look, man, you learn everything I could teach you. You could keep coming to class, or you could go out there and give, go get jobs." So that's what I decided to do. And like I said, still miss more than I hit, but I started, picked
Mhm.
up something. But in the meantime, while I was acting, the thing that bothered me the most was having a casting director dictate my success, having a producer or director dictate my success. I said, coming from the world I come from, where I control my own destiny, it was hard for me to have people control my success. So I started my own production, entertainment company, production company. I didn't know anything about production, but I started learning through
Mhm.
trial and error, asking questions and learning. And I made every mistake you can make, every amateurish mistake until I got, through it and keep moving forward, keep moving forward. And big long story short, I produced for MGM, I produced for Warner Brothers, I produced, so I'm in
Yeah.
the mix, and I've acted in 20 something different films and did a lot of television. So yeah, that's okay, but not where I want to be, not where I'm going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's amazing. So let's say today you became like the head macho of boxing in the world. If you could change one thing about boxing, pay structure, safety, or like promotion, what would you change about the game of boxing?
Two things immediately.
All right.
I go back to 15 round fights,
Mm-hmm.
and I go back to morning weigh-ins, the weigh in the morning and fight.
Yeah.
They changed that. Now they changed the 15 round rules because they said in my fight with Kim. I don't buy that because my fight with Kim was 1982. The last 15 round fight was 1980, 88. 6 years, that's a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't buy into that. It was a TV decision, not a medical. They try to say it was a medical decision. Here's a fact, Matthew. Talk about medical decision. There's more fatalities from 1900 to 1982 when I fought to
Mm-hmm.
1988 when the last 15 round fight. There's been more fatalities from 1988 to present day, to now, than there were in the first 88 years that I just
Really?
from
Wow.
1900 to 1980. There's more fatalities from in the last 40 years
Wow.
37 than it was in the first 88. So tell me, how's lessening the rounds when you it didn't help
It
that the
doesn't. Yeah.
TV decision, TV commercials, they have more commercial time, more they buy, sell more commercial time. So it's a TV decision. And the weigh-ins the night before, that was just again when Mike Tyson was fighting, they started weighing. It became a big like promotional thing. Oh man,
Mm.
ESPN. So I said, well, we should do it every fight. Plus, there was a lot of guys coming in that weren't making weight. So they'd say, well, now you'll make if you make weight now, but you'll make it by tomorrow morning or by tomorrow afternoon. But by the time you get in that ring, you'll be on point. You'll make
Mhm.
weight. So
Yeah.
that's all it was. So that's what I would change. The weigh-ins the morning of, because if you can't make weight the morning of, you have no business fighting in that weight class.
Yeah.
And back to 15-round fights.
Yeah. Great answers.
Yeah.
And so, if there are any, people who dream of becoming a professional boxer, athlete in general, what would be some advice you would give to them on their journey?
First, foremost, don't have a like for it. Don't have an interest in it. You got to have a passion that burns inside your soul for that. A passion, whatever you do in life, you got to have a passion for. It's like like the girl you get with, the woman you eventually marry. You got to have a passion for that person. So you got to have a passion for the sport that you choose, or whatever you choose in life, whether it's to be a doctor or a lawyer, but not a like for it, a passion for it, a love for it. You got to have a love for it, a deep love. Because once you have that deep love, you'll do whatever it takes to be successful.
Yeah.
Failure, you've heard terms, failure is not an option. It won't, it ain't. Because you'll do whatever it takes to be successful.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I've learned about your life, learn about the occupation. But if like to be a sport, if you want to be a football player, a baseball player, read about the players from before. Learn about the history of the sport, the great players. Who's in the Hall of Fame, right? And so that's the thing. Have a passion for it, man, and do your diligence and pay the dues. So you got to pay the dues before you reap the rewards.
Yeah. Yeah. Great advice there. So now I got a little lightning round for you. A couple
Sure.
quick questions.
Sure.
Who was the toughest opponent that you fought in your career?
Lex Arguello, no dispute. Lex Arguello.
Who do you still keep in touch with from your boxing days?
Well, I mean, there's guys that came after me. I still feel, if I see Ray Leonard or Tommy Hearns, I'm good friends. Larry Holmes, one of my dearest friends. Love Larry Holmes, one of the greatest fighters of all time, greatest heavyweights. Buster Douglas is a good friend of him, but he's after me.
Mm-hmm.
During my time, I see Roberto Duran occasionally, run into him, love him, one of my heroes. He was one of my heroes. But a lot of my contemporaries are passing on.
Yeah.
So, not a lot of us left.
Mm-hmm. What would you say is your favorite sport besides boxing?
Well, I played all sports. I played every sport. I love playing baseball, playing basketball, football. I love them all. And they're your favorite sport when you're playing them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I'm a firm believer. Like you're in high school, right? My kids were in high school. After they play every sport you can at freshman year. But sophomore year, pick one. I want my kids to play them all. I want them to be well-rounded. You don't stick with. My son was one of my sons when he was young. He was a hell of a soccer player. They wanted to play on 10 years old. They wanted to play in the junior Olympic, future Olympic, junior Olympic team.
Yeah.
But that's all they play. I said, no. He's going to play all sports. He'll figure it out when he gets older. He'll figure out what he wants to do. So I'm a firm believer everyone should play all sports. Whatever season it is, that's what you play.
Mm-hmm.
To be the best. If it helps develop you into an all-round athlete, a well-adversed person. Not only as an athlete, but as a person too.
Yeah. What was your favorite boxing venue when you were a fighter?
Madison Square Garden.
Square Garden? Oh, yeah.
Mecca, man. That's the most famous place there is. Number 2, Youngstown, Ohio.
Oh, yeah. Ohio, OH. What was your favorite move during your career? Favorite punch?
I was the guy that come forward, bob and weave. My left, roll underneath them, and my left hook.
Mm-hmm.
Bang the body, lean over, bang that body, and then come back with left hook on top. So double hook, body and head, bang, bang that double.
Yeah.
Bang, you heard in both places.
So besides yourself, you can't answer yourself for this question. Who's your favorite boxer of all time?
Well, I'm not five. I have five. I have five.
Okay.
My father, number one, my
Oh yeah.
father. The guys know these guys from yesterday, a long time. My father used to tell me about him. I used to read about them. Tony Canzoneri from the 20s and 30s, three division champion, one of the greatest fighters of all time. My father, Tony Canzoneri, Henry Armstrong, the only man to hold at that time three world titles simultaneously. At that
Mm.
time, you could do it. Now you can't.
Yeah.
Nobody's
Wow.
never been done for. He held the lightweight, welterweight, and featherweight all at one time. And within 12 months, he won all three. Actually, he won four. He fought for the middleweight title, and they called it a draw. And
Wow.
all the ringside writers had him winning the fight. So he went from featherweight to middle. Featherweight was one. That time there was no junior division, so it's 126 to 147. Came down to 135, and he went up to 160. But he didn't go up. He fought when he fought for the middleweight title. He was only 144 pounds. He still fought for it, and by all accounts, won the middleweight title. So again, my father, Tony Canzoneri, Henry Armstrong, Carmen Basilio, Rocky Marciano, and Roberto Duran. Those are my six favorite fighters
Yeah.
of all time.
Oh yeah. Great list there. What is the best boxing movie ever made?
My favorite movie of all time is Body and Soul. Good John Garfield,
Hmm.
1940, 1948. And I did a remake,
Oh
1990.
yeah.
I did a remake, 1998. I played, yeah, I did a remake of it. It took me over 10 years to acquire the rights because that's my favorite boxing movie. I said I would never do another boxing. I would never do a boxing movie except Body and Soul, and I did it.
Let's say right now you were going to go into a match. What would be your amp up song to get ready for it?
Oh, well, I had the same song from my first fight through every fight. Pat Travers was a big band in the 80s, 70s and 80s. Pat Travers said, "Boom, boom, out go the lights." Everyone thought they wrote it for me, but he didn't. It was an old blues song. Well, it's an
Mm.
old blues song. For all they did, they made it a rock song. It was an old. I forgot who was the gentleman who sang it in the blues. It was a blues, and old black blues singer, and Pat Travers band just made it a rock song. It was called Boom Boom, and so every time they say Boom Boom, the music would stop, and the crowd would go, "Out go the lights!" So that's yeah, it was cool, man.
That's
So listen, if you
awesome.
get a chance, Pat Travers, Boom Boom, Out go the lights. You'll dig
I'll
it.
give it a
Great
listen.
song,
Oh
man.
yeah.
Great song.
So let's say there's alternate universe where Ray Mancini is not a boxer. What career would you have gone for?
Again, I think I've been successful. Maybe at that time, I had a professional baseball offer when I was 18 before I turned pro.
Mhm.
Maybe I'd try that, but maybe I'd gone into entertainment and been an actor starting back then. Like my
Mhm.
son started right out of high school. My son's an actor. Maybe I would have started that. I think you got to start when you're young. Anything I think professional. When you're professional, anything you got to start when you're young.
Yeah.
So I probably would have, if maybe that, or try to play baseball.
What would you say your favorite Italian meal is?
I tell you what, like linguine and clams,
Oh yeah.
linguine and clams in a white sauce. Al
Yeah.
olio with the al olio and wine, little wine sauce,
Oh
a
yeah.
white wine sauce.
Great
Yeah,
stuff.
linguine and clams.
If you had to describe your whole fighting style in just one word, what would you use?
Aggressive.
Aggressive. And who's a current fighter that you love to watch?
Oh, I have a couple of them now. I love watching. Well, a couple of guys, recently retired, but I love watching this Naoya Inoue from
Mhm.
Japan. He's 32 and no third. He used to call him the monster. He moved up from 106 to 130 and he's knocking people dead. Naoya Inoue, I love watching this kid fight. I love watching David Benavidez. They
Mhm.
call him the monster because he's a wrecking ball. I do like watching Bivol, Dmitry Bivol,
Yep.
who's a light heavyweight champ. I enjoy watching Usyk, the heavyweight champ. He's good, but Inoue is my favorite fighter. That was it.
Who was the better Youngstown native football player? Bob Stoops or actor Ed O'Neill or aka Al Bundy.
Uh, I play with Bobby. I played Bobby because we grew up, we 1 year apart. He lived the next street over, a couple houses down. We played Pop Warner together. We played high school together. Well, better question. Well, Eddie was a hell of a football player too, though.
Mhm.
Eddie was a hell of a football. It's just different, different position. But Eddie, a hell of a football player. When you get to the last cut, Pittsburgh Steelers, which went on to win 3 Super Bowls after that, right? Or four, whatever it was.
Yeah.
4 Super Bowls, actually. Then pretty special. But Bobby Stoops could have been, he could have been a hell of a footballer, but he chose to be to go into coaching.
Coaching.
He
Yeah.
chose to go into coaching. So, but let me tell you something. The question between him or his brother Mike. Mike was a year younger than me. I played with Michael too. Michael and Bobby. Who's better? That's apples and oranges. Michael's a great player too. So, yeah. But I would say, let's just say for entertainment's sake, Ed O'Neill.
Okay. Love that. What is the best piece of advice that your dad gave you?
Raymond, love your family. First, love God, love your family, and love yourself. You gotta love yourself too. So love God, love your family, and love yourself.
Yeah, it's great. All right. This last question I got is 2 parts.
Sure.
So, in your boxing prime, what are you doing on any given Monday?
My boxing prime.
Yeah, any
If it's
given
right
Monday.
after, so usually I fought on weekends. So Monday I'm recuperating, usually healing up, recuperating, but hopefully celebrating. You know, um, I'm going to see friends because I go to training camp 6 weeks. I go away.
Yeah.
Go away to the mountains out west or up to the Catskill Mountains. So see friends and it's like to celebrate, having dinners and celebrating. So trying to have some fun with it. Trying to
Yeah.
relax, enjoy, cut loose a little bit.
And now, in the second part of the question, now in the prime of your life, today, what are you doing on any given Monday?
Uh, Probably a lot. And I'm not so much celebrating, but relaxing. Just I work from my home. I'm an independent contractor,
Mhm.
so I don't have an office to go to except here in my home right here. So I'm on a phone. So I have a kind of a routine. I get up, work out, uh, come back, have my breakfast. I usually start my day late afternoon, late morning, early afternoon, because everyone on the West Coast don't start their day until 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And East Coast afternoon because they have meetings and stuff in the morning. So I do calls on the East Coast in the afternoon, and later in the afternoon I could call on the West Coast. But there's really I have no set schedule. You just kind of make it what it is. So I
Yeah.
work out. If I can take care of emails or mail, I do that in between. Just try to be productive. Try to use time management. I'm not the best at it. I gotta be honest. I'm not the best at it. I'm
Yeah.
trying to get better. But time management is everything. Because the one thing in life we found out, a friend of mine did a documentary, and she found out, they said the most valuable commodity we have as human beings is time. We don't have enough of it, and we always don't use it properly.
Mhm.
So, they're doing this documentary about the human condition, and time is the most valuable commodity we have. So my suggestion is try to use it efficiently. If you don't beat yourself up over it.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that you work hard, but you rest easy too.
Mhm.
Work hard, you play hard, but rest easy.
Yep.
I'm a firm believer that everything in moderation. I eat. I love to eat. I drink my wine, my bourbon, moderation. I exercise, again, moderation. I work out daily, but I'm not killing myself like I once did. So I think the key to life is moderation on all aspects, as far as life and love.
Mhm. Well, that's all I got for you.
My man,
Yeah. Thank you
glad
so
you did
much
a
for
hell of a
doing
job.
this.